The following is a presentation of the Treasure Island Baseball Network.
The calendar may say it's winter, but it's always a good time to be focusing on the boys of summer. From the stars who make the plays on the diamond to the ones who make the decisions in the front office, let's bring you inside your hometown nine with Inside Twins. Inside Twins is sponsored by Killebrew Root Beer, locally owned and operated. It's how memories are created and legends are made.
Hello and welcome to Fort Myers, Florida. This is our final off-season edition of Inside Twins, brought to you by Killebrew Root Beer, locally owned and operated. It's how memories are created and legends are made. I'm John Vitas, coming to you from the Lee Health Sports Complex in Fort Myers. The Minnesota Twins just wrapped up their live BPs for the day. You can see some of the coaches down there on the warning track behind home plate. 5 different pitchers here in the stadium just through live, including Louis Varland, who just came off the mound a couple moments ago. Our guest today is Twin starting pitcher Bailey Ober, but before we get to Bailey, I wanted to give you a couple of updates on some recent Twins news and notes. As we signed off the air last week, it was being reported that the Twins had signed Ty France to a 1-year deal. That is now official. He is here in Fort Myers working out with the Twins. He has spent 6 years in the majors. And to make some room for these late additions for the Twins, they have placed a pair of pitchers on waivers, both of which were claimed. Brent Hedrick claimed by the New York Yankees and Ronnie Henriquez claimed by the Miami Marlins. Over the weekend, the Twins made another addition to their 2025 roster as Erasmo Ramirez was signed to a minor league deal. He has 13 years in the show and pitched 20 2/3 innings at the big league level last year for the Tampa Bay Rays, allowing just 12 hits. We are really excited to bring you a 20-game broadcast schedule here on Twins Radio. Chris Atterbury and Dan Gladden will be with you this weekend with the Grapefruit League opener coming here at Hammond Stadium on Saturday against the Atlanta Braves. We will go live at 1 o'clock. So excited for everybody to listen to some Twins this weekend. Twins will be in Bradenton to play the Pirates on Sunday, and we'll be broadcasting that game as well. Without further ado, it's time to welcome in our guest today, Twin star pitcher Bailey Ober, who joins us from Fort Myers. Bailey, how you doing? Thanks for joining the show.
Thanks, John. Appreciate you guys having me on. Doing well and enjoying the weather down here.
Yeah, it has been sparkling here. We haven't seen rain in a couple of weeks, but no one's complaining about the sunshine here in Florida. And first of all, I know you were kind of at the front end of that series of live batting practice sessions this week. You got to throw on Monday to some of your Twins teammates. It's got to be a little odd to be facing your teammates in a competitive setting, but what was that like? How did you feel?
Yeah, it felt great. Like you said, it is a little weird seeing your teammates in the box facing you, but it went great. The goal early on is just to get all your pitches in, throw strikes, and try to mix and just get your work in.
I know the offseason involves so much training nowadays. The time you actually get to rest is pretty short. You were back home in North Carolina, the Charlotte area. Where did you train, and what was it like getting to go back home?
Yeah, we live up in Davidson, just on the north side of Charlotte, and there's a facility not too far away, 15-ish minutes away, called X2. They train baseball players from the lower levels all the way up to the pros. So that's where I was back home, getting my work in with a lot of other pro guys, a lot of minor league guys. And so, yeah, it's been great. It was really good to spend time with the family and hang out at the house.
I know you had a chance to come to Minnesota as well for Twins Fest a few weeks ago, and you spoke to the media there. And I know one thing that you brought up was just the length of the season. You set career highs in innings and starts last year and finished top 20 in the majors in strikeouts. But you did speak to how as the season goes along and that fatigue begins to set in, it does affect your mechanics a little bit. I wanted to unpack that. And I know you said part of your offseason training is trying to make sure that your body holds up over that long season. Is it more lower body? How do you prepare for such a long season with, of course, a month and a half of spring training here on the front end?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just with any season, especially with baseball, it's lots of games. And in between every start, you're kind of fighting that battle of, all right, I need to get my body prepared for the next start. So every time you throw, stuff is going to get tight. You're going to feel a little bit different. So you're continually just working on mechanics throughout the year and the off season. And the goal is going into spring and going into the season is that you can get into the best shape and best standing with your mechanics that it can last throughout the entire year.
And the fun part of being down here so early and it's a looser environment is getting to hang out and talk to your teammates. The Twins have about as established a starting rotation as there is in baseball. And I know you get to work alongside Pablo Lopez and Chris Paddock and Joe Ryan and guys who have had recent success in the major leagues. What have you seen from those guys so far? What have the conversations been like?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, obviously, when you get down here, it's first of all, it's just great to see everyone, to get back in the same building, be around each other from spending 4 months off, and now you're here every day with them. So it's kind of like back with your second family. It feels really good to be around these guys and just talk baseball again. It's always a pleasure to watch all of those guys go out there and throw because they all are unique and do extraordinary things in their own way. Watching Pablo's live and Joe's live the other day was just really refreshing to be able to watch them again.
And I know early in camp, one of the storylines before games get going is the younger guys. It's always 50 to 70 players in camp when spring training begins. And I know there's a good handful of starting pitching prospects that you're getting a chance to meet for the first time and see what they have to offer. I know you saw glimpses of guys like David Festa and Zebby Matthews at the end of last season, but now you've got Marco Raya and Travis Adams on the 40-man roster. I think Andrew Morris is here in camp as well. Anything jump out with those guys early on?
Yeah, I feel like nowadays to be able to be put on the 40-man or be invited to big league camp, your stuff like your velocity and pitch movements have to be unique. And all of these guys have really good stuff. All of these guys can get swings and misses at this big league level. Now it's just getting super consistent and kind of putting in the work and watching how some of the older guys go about their business. But all of these guys are crazy talented, and I can see them definitely helping our team.
You mentioned consistency. That was one thing we wanted to ask you about today. You got through such a long, successful season last year. What are some of the keys to finding that consistency over 30 starts? Because there's going to be bad starts sprinkled in there, but it's all about kind of limiting the damage, right? How do you put that all together over 6 months?
Yeah, it's trusting your process and trusting your routine, especially after you have a bad outing. You don't want to dive too much into what happened. Obviously, you're looking into it and to see if there's anything that you can change, but you want to stay consistent with what you're doing in between starts, so that if something keeps happening, you can go back and change it. But it's just really big to be able to have a process and understand that you're going to make 30 plus starts in the season. So one isn't going to define you, no matter if it's you're throwing a complete game or you're getting pulled really early in the game. So being able to go out there every fifth or sixth day, whatever the team asks you to do, and put up a quality start is going to be huge. And that's usually what I try to do every single time I'm out there.
You were homegrown in this Minnesota Twins organization. They continue to pour out quality starting pitching options. I do remember you pitching on this mound back in 2019 for the Fort Myers Miracle. It was a season where you finished with an ERA under 1 at multiple levels. If I remember right, you were throwing about 88 miles an hour at that point, and obviously the Twins saw something in you to draft you and put in the work to help get you to where you are now. What was the evolution like in the minor leagues to turn you into a guy who's now 93 to 95? I would imagine there was a lot of work that you put in to get to this point.
Yeah, exactly. 2019 was a good year stats wise for me, but it was also confusing because my velo dipped a lot, as you said. I got drafted, I was low 90s, and then my first year in pro ball was about the same. And then 2019, for whatever reason it was, my mechanics or just how I was feeling health wise, my velo went way down. But I had crazy success that year pitching whenever I was healthy. So the Twins definitely were gracious enough with me and wanted to work with me to fix what was going on. And I think it was a blessing that 2020 got canceled for the minor league. So I had that whole entire year to really fine tune my mechanics and get back to being healthy. And my velo came with that, and it's been there ever since. And right now I'm feeling good that the Twins took a chance on me and added me to the 40-man that year. And I was able to put in a lot of hard work with a lot of the people that I've surrounded myself with outside of the Twins, and it's paid off.
Yeah, patience and persistence paying off on both fronts there. Last one before we send it to break. I know, obviously, you came up through Fort Myers. You're here every year for spring training. What are some of the places you frequent away from the stadium? Are there any fun hobbies or things you like to do during spring training?
Most of the time, you're going to find me probably on the golf course if my family's not down here. But if my kids are down here, we'll be at the pool probably almost every single day. That's basically what we enjoy doing. And it's a lot of fun. I try to put on as much sunscreen as I possibly can so I don't get roasted out there. But yeah, we have a lot of fun whenever we're down here.
Can't go wrong with either one of those options. Well, Bailey, thanks for joining us here for segment one. We'll step aside for a moment for a quick break. We're going to come on back with a game of Knack, which has become an Inside Twins tradition. Bailey will have 3 cards to try and guess who's on the front based on the clues on the back. And then we're going to take your questions, get on those social media platforms, and submit some questions for Bailey to answer in our final segment today. This is Inside Twins, brought to you by Killebrew Root Beer. John Vitas, joined by Bailey Ober today on Inside Twins, brought to you by Killebrew Root Beer, locally owned and operated. It's how memories are created and legends are made. Bailey Ober is with us here in Fort Myers, and we're getting ready for our game of Knack. Royce Lewis killed this segment last week, got all 3 cards pretty quickly. Not a speed game. Take your time. We're going for accuracy too. But let's see if we can get the first card up on the screen. We did let Bailey know that one of these 3 cards will be a Twins teammate of his. So we'll start revealing some of the clues. First clue, he had the second lowest FIP for any pitcher who threw at least 42 innings last year. Finished with the 5th highest whiff percentage for anyone facing 250 batters or more. So obviously a recent player, 4 years with the Twins, debuted in 2021. You can see that impressive stat line last year. Bailey, do you have any guesses?
Yeah, I know who this is.
Who is it?
Griffin Jacks.
He's correct. This is Griffin Jacks. Debuted same year as Bailey Ober, and at the back end of that Twins bullpen has become a weapon. And you guys were on that 2019 Miracle team together, right?
Yeah, for a little bit, I think. We came up and we played a few levels together. I think it was high A, double A, and triple A. So, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and he was a starter at that point and has settled in nicely as a reliever ever since. All right, let's head on to card number 2. And most of these cards have some connection to our guest, so keep that in mind. Our first clue is that he was a walk-on to begin his college career, but by the time he was a senior, he led the nation in hits. So it is an offensive player. See a 4-year span there with the Yankees, led the American League in stolen bases in 2011, led the American League in triples in 2013. South Carolina native. Any guesses?
Yeah, I'm going Brett Gardner.
Brett Gardner's correct. And I know you have a little bit of a connection to Brett, right?
Yeah, same college.
College of Charleston. And that second clue there, he was the highest drafted player out of the College of Charleston until Taylor Clark in 2015. And you know Taylor Clark, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's one of my best friends.
So there he is, Brett Gardner, a couple of College of Charleston guys. All right, we've got one more for you. This one's a little outside the box.
Okay.
But we feel good about it. This player was born in Ohio, drafted 9th overall in 1962 by Boston.
Okay.
A member of the 1984 Hall of Fame class. Nicknamed Hondo.
Oh, boy.
No guesses yet?
So he's got Celtics.
This is a basketball card. We've got a Celtics logo there in the corner.
John Havlicek.
That's correct. We threw in a basketball card to finish off Knack this season, John Havlicek. And I'm told he's got a connection to your jersey number. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so John Havlicek was my dad's favorite player for anything that he did. He played all the sports basically in high school, but he loved basketball, and this was his favorite player, so that was the reason why he wore 17. And then obviously, me being my dad's son, I'm gonna want to do what he's doing, so I picked his favorite number from an early age, and that's the number that I continue to wear now.
That's amazing. Awesome connection. Well, we appreciate it. Well done. 3 for 3.
Yeah, not bad.
Not bad. We're going to ask you to hang on for just one more segment. Yeah. We're going to step aside real quick. Come on back with your fan questions. So get those questions in here going into our final break, and we'll have Bailey answer some of your questions when we come back on Inside Twins. John Vitas welcoming you back to Fort Myers, our final off-season edition of Inside Twins. We are joined today by Bailey Ober, who is here in Fort Myers. Our final segment here will feature some fan questions, but I'll get the festivities started. You're from North Carolina. I know the state has a few different types of backgrounds and cultures. You've got the beach side, the mountain side, and a lot of big markets there in the middle. So for where you grew up, what were some of your favorite things to do away from the baseball field growing up in your part of North Carolina?
Yeah, so we're right outside Charlotte. So we grew up 20 minutes away, 15 minutes away from Lake Norman. So we had a lot of friends that were fortunate enough to have boats. So during the summertime, going out there on the lake was great. I feel like me and my brother were always outside doing something, playing in the neighborhood, whether that's wiffle ball, basketball, football. We were always doing something. We enjoyed going up into the mountains for sure. We took a few beach trips every once in a while when we could, but the majority of our summers were spent playing baseball and traveling all up and down the East Coast, playing wherever we could.
Well, let's kick it over to the fans now. I know we've got a few questions coming in. We'll start from Bowling 24. Bailey, what's it like being with Pablo Lopez as teammates?
It's great. I mean, obviously, from what you guys can tell, Pablo is a fantastic guy, a great teammate, and it holds true in the locker room. He's a great person. And it's really fun to just be on the same team as him because he truly cares about everyone that's in that locker room. He wants to win, and he works harder than anyone that's in there. So to have him as an example to kind of lead and just follow the way that he does stuff, it's great. And he's a great teammate, like I said, and it's awesome to be on the same staff as him.
All right, let's see our next question. What's your pregame or postgame meal of choice on days where you start? I know I'm sure the pregame meal for start days might be your most important of the week.
Yeah, I would say the night before. So like I try to have something that's really high in protein, but not super heavy. So salmon is a great choice that I enjoy eating the night before. Pre-game, I like to have it pretty light still. Like I don't want anything super heavy on my stomach. So maybe some sandwiches would be good, but nothing that's crazy heavy. And then post-game, I'm trying to get as much calories and protein shake, anything that I could really eat, just get it down before I can go to bed.
Any particular sandwich for that pregame meal?
Yeah, maybe just like a turkey bacon cheddar, like a melted sub, something like that. We usually got some of those in the clubhouse, and they're pretty good.
Yeah, can't go wrong with that. All right, let's see what our next question is. Oh, from the FBI. Bailey, what is your favorite jersey to pick when you start?
Oh, that's a good question. I really like the alternate cream, the Twin City jerseys, but I really enjoy all of them. But yeah, if I was going to pick one right now, I'd go with the creams.
Perfect. I think we may have one more for you from Callan. Are you going to collab with Anthony Edwards again on a pair of cleats?
Yeah, I got some stuff up the sleeve this year, so hopefully you guys are looking out for it, and I think you guys are going to like it. So just be on the lookout, and we'll see what comes up.
Well, that's a great tease. We're looking forward to it. Well, Bailey, thanks again for coming on the show today. Great insight, and enjoy the rest of your time here in Fort Myers. We'll be watching.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Good stuff from Bailey Ober today on Inside Twins. This is our final off-season edition of Inside Twins. We'll be back in season starting Sunday, March 30th. That'll be before the third game of the season against the St. Louis Cardinals. I want to thank everybody up in Minnesota, Mark Janowski, producing the show today from our studios at Target Field. And we are just 3 days away from baseball. Our next broadcast here with Twins Radio will be on Saturday. We'll be on the air 1 o'clock Eastern, noon Central Time. Chris and Dan will have the call of Twins and Braves as baseball returns here in 2025. Big thank you to Killer Brew Root Beer as well for sponsoring Inside Twins. We appreciate all they do with our club, and we thank you, the fans, for tuning in all season long. This is our final edition of Inside Twins until the regular season begins. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, everyone. Again, baseball just 3 days away.